Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Jacob Weil.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves in the midst of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, even courting a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. All right, tonight we're talking The Mandalorian, Chapter 22, Guns for Hire. I'm going to throw it to you guys first. What do y'all think?
Jacob?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. I thought this was kind of an interesting episode, to say the least. It's not your usual episode of Mando. It had kind of more of a mystery element to it than usual. Kind of like uncovering a conspiracy of sorts, which I thought was an interesting angle. I wouldn't say it's my favorite episode of the season, but I still think it has a lot of fun and entertainment value to be had. Plus, it was kind of interesting, like seeing the droids and seeing Bo-Katan and Din kind of like play off each other, kind of like a good cop, bad cop kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty fun. Plus this episode definitely had some interesting guest stars. So it's kind of
cool. It definitely had guest stars. That's one thing this episode definitely had. Dragon.
Well, I could say it's a foreboding episode for Bo and Din.
I was gonna make the Mandalorian joke. Campia made that joke, so I don't even take credit for that bad joke. It's all Campia. Blame him. I'm sorry.
You're really arbitrary about the Campia. Yay, Campia, but not so yay, Campia. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is the nature of being a human being. We're all not perfect. John Campia just happens to be a fascinatingly flawed but influential person in this sphere of ours. But anyways. So, Dragon, what do you think of the episode?
So, I kind of noticed the pattern with Mando. Each season of Mando, there's kind of a weird episode. And for me, I think this is the weird episode of season 3. Where if you look at it, think about it, like season 1, you had the which I mean I liked it, but a lot of people were really iffy on the gunslinger, for example. And then season 2, you had the spider episode. And this season, and again, there's nothing wrong with the spider episodes. Just I think that's what I'm saying. These episodes aren't bad. It's just in comparison to the rest, they are kind of like the odd duck. They're the ones like, no, that was kind of a way to kill. Just kind of a week of Mando.
And for Boba Fett, the weird episode was the one featuring Mando.
Oddly enough, but that one. So. This episode for me, it's so weird. It's kind of a procedural crime episode, which I don't usually expect with Mando or just with Star Wars in general. It's not to say Clone Wars, which experimented with tone and more so kind of genre with episodes at times. It's not to say we've never done it before, but to see it in live action while we're in the thick of the Mando season 3 story, like, hey, we're doing a kind of a procedural cop episode for the heck of it, which, I mean, I'm entrenched in procedural cop episodes. I live by that book. I do. I know it like the back of my hand. I can tell you the answer to any procedural cop episode ever with my eyes closed.
Is that going to be the next Geek Out?
Anyway. The show that people don't know about yet, Tiki.
So it's behind the scenes stuff, Drag.
Yeah. So, this episode was kind of weird because, there's like a procedural element to it. You had very, very heavy-handed stunt casting. Again, not a bad thing, but just very kind of weird. Just like, man, that is really on-the-nose casting. I don't know how I feel about that, And it was, honestly, the episodes, it just feels like I'm watching this episode. It just feels mostly like we're stalling till the good stuff that's at the very end. It's kind of like imagining at the Pershing episode, only it didn't quite kind of engage you all the way through as
right.
The Pershing episode did. And that's not to say this episode isn't fun. Doesn't have stuff I like about it, and particularly with Din's baggage with droids. But it just felt it kind of disrupted the flow of the season for me, and a season that apparently needs all the help it can get in terms of kind of engaging the audience. It seems, as I've learned the hard way this recap season, it's it's not I don't want to say deflating, but it's kind of a waking up and smelling the coffee. It's like, huh, okay, that's where we're at now.
So before I talk about my thoughts, I just want to acknowledge this season I have been trying really hard to keep a positive, open mind about everything. I really have been, like, more so than usual, like, because this season is very unconventional. It's definitely like, and I respect some of the story decisions they're taking. Like, some people are really complaining, like, oh, it's the Bo-Katan show, and I'm like, yeah, that's not a problem. I love Bo-Katan as a character. And I don't even know the Clone Wars side of things with her. But all that being said, I think this season has, the one big thing with the season is a distinct lack in direction and lack of, like, we really don't, it's all over the place as far as, like, what the end goal is going to be. And so for that reason, I have to straight up call it like I see it. I honestly think this is the worst episode of the show. I think there's good stuff in here. Like, the droid cantina, that was like one of the most intriguing bits in the trailer, and I thought it was pretty well executed. The good cop, bad cop stuff, that's good. But I don't even think this is a terrible episode, but I do think it's a terribly timed episode.
Yep.
Because, like Dragon said, this is the point in the season where we really should be getting into the thick of things. And instead, it's literally like, okay, we're going to go to Mandalore and recruit all the Mandalorians and get all the Mandalorians together. That's cool. That's awesome. I want to see that. But instead, it's like, okay, Jack Black and Lizzo. Yeah. All right. And they've got a quite literally, it feels like an RPG side quest. So that wasn't great. Also, I'm sorry, guys. The ending fight scene was cool. For sure. It was well choreographed. It was really cool. Good action beats. I hated the way the Darksaber plot ended.
Oh, really?
I hated it.
Oh.
For me, it's such a letdown. Such a letdown for me. Like, let me make this clear. I don't even really mind the explanation. I don't. It tracks logically. I just mind that the show really buried the lead on it. Like, for something that was built up as like one of the storylines in season 3, it just kind of is like, it was nothing. It was just a nothing thing for me. It was like 4 episodes after that. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, this. So yeah, guys, I'm really trying to be positive. Like, going into 2023, I'm really trying to not just be like, Tiki, the cynical nitpicker. I'm really trying to shed that. This episode has a lot of problems, man. I want to shout out Bryce Dallas Howard. I think she did a really good job directing this. I think this is a really good looking episode, and she continues to impress in that regard. But man, the script for this, it's just not there. I've got a lot of issues, even down to how the actual mystery and stuff gets paid off. I've got a lot of issues with this episode. I don't think hardly any of it actually works. So yeah, I hate to be so cynical about it. I'm really trying. I really wanted this season to be, but at this point, I feel like we're kind of like, okay, let's stick to landing on the last 2. And I'm kind of just losing hope that this season is going to amount to anything. I really am. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right.
Sorry, guys.
That's fine.
All right.
Okay, I guess the place to start would be the opening. So we have a little opening check-in with Bo-Katan's faction of Mandos. Basically the OG Mandos, the ones who actually come, the ones from Mandalore who were before the whole Death Watch split of it all. Yeah, we got Axe Wolves and Casca. We met these guys in the initial Bryce Dallas Howard episode to introduce Bo-Katan.
Uh-huh.
We brought back Casca, I believe the female Mando, in the finale of season 2. So, she came. They've been around, and we set up, and we pay off here that, okay, they took the ship that Moff Gideon was on, and we're seeing they basically, all the Imperial ships that they've stolen they've been kind of flying a bunch of them, kind of keeping them around as like their own kind of muscle in the galaxy, essentially, as they've been doing mercenary and bounty hunter jobs. Kind of keep the lights on, just kind of like kill time. Now, basically, they've lost faith in Bo-Katan. They ejected her after she lost the Darksabers. Like, retake Mandalore, you're crazy. We're just going to do mercenary stuff. Yeah. Essentially, kind of what that's been. And then we have kind of this. We had an interesting opening with the kind of the ethical question of these Mandos. There's the retrieving, I believe, a prince, Mon Calamari.
Yep.
And of course, Mon Calamari and I guess the Quarren, they still never. I forget that they still never patch. I guess they never patched things up in like the 20 years since the prequels. It's like, man, really, we got that war still going on. We're changing so many regimes, and we can't like patch up a little. We're both fish people. Can't we get along?
Honestly, I think the plot of that probably would have been more interesting than what we got.
I honestly agree, Jacob. Like, I honestly like Mon Calamari. I love the Mon Calamari. I love their design, and we don't get nearly enough of their actual culture. So I agree. I would have liked a full episode just on this.
How do you feel about the Quarren, Tiki?
The octopus people?
Yeah, the people with like little tendril.
Okay, let me say this much. I generally speaking like this cold open. That being said, the whole bit where the two embrace each other with like the tentacles and stuff, like that shit is just asking to get dunked on.
Well, that's her face.
It's just asking to get dunked on.
But Tiki, that's her face, though.
I realize that. I don't know. It's just like,
what's wrong with your face?
What's wrong? Oh my god! What's wrong with your face?
That's a face full of love, my friend. Fish love.
Dragon, I'm just saying it's a silly looking visual, all right? And people are looking for reasons to dunk on Disney Star Wars. That's all I'm saying.
And we literally put her in a dunk tank, which is not.
I mean, and admittedly, a lot of the things they're looking for are reaches.
No, you're not wrong, Jacob. You're absolutely not wrong, and honestly, the fandom being how it is one of the reasons why I'm trying to keep a positive attitude. So
essentially, what we do is here. This whole opening, the purpose of it is to show that maybe our leadership here is like the Mandalorians could be doing something a little bit more noble right now, but right now they're kind of lacking direction, which we're going to mend by the end of the episode.
Although I will say, I mean, I do probably like it more than what Tiki did with this, but. Like I think it would have been kind of interesting for like this whole political Romeo and Juliet angle than Jack Black and Lizzo.
Yeah,
we should probably transition to Plaisir 15.
Oh man.
Okay, so I have a conspiracy theory to lay out. Okay, so with our stunt casting, we have Lizzo and Jack Black, stars that, let's just say. In having them in Star Wars feels very, and I guess I can mean this in a literal sense, very trendy. It feels trendy in a manner.
It feels like the holiday special is what it feels like, honestly.
Which, I mean, given the reverence that we've shown towards the holiday special in Mandalorian, is not necessarily a bad thing. But it stands out, maybe not in the best of ways. And here's the conspiracy angle. Two things for how these actors were chosen. Okay, one, Lizzo. I am convinced Lizzo just wanted to be in the show just the whole baby. I think that was like in her contract or something.
God.
It feels almost like a dare of like, hey.
Can I just say Lizzo is one of those celebrities that makes me feel like fucking ancient just because I am not up on popular music. I have not heard a single one of her songs. I genuinely don't really know that much about her.
All I know about Lizzo is that she's popular and she has a thing for Chris Evans. That's all I know.
Oh God! I will say I love her look. I actually think both of them look good as far as like. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was like, yeah, I agree. I mean, they're not bad. They played their parts well.
I mean, let's all agree in this room, like we are all big Jack Black fans, right?
I mean, he plays this role nicely. It just feels like I can't get over the fact that's Jack Black in Star Wars. Why is he in Star Wars and looking exactly like Jack Black?
It's just kind of funny that two high profile project starring Jack Black came out on the same day.
That was my other conspiracy point, Jacob. Yes, so that's it feels very highly suspect that this happens on the week, the very day, in fact.
The exact day, yeah.
that the Mario.
Technically, the Mario movie did have midnight screenings, so literally the exact same time in some circumstances.
Yeah, so that's what it just feels on the week of that release. It feels a little suspect. I mean, again, Blizzard's like a popularity thing. It feels almost like a dare of like Kathleen Kennedy's like saying, "Okay, guys, we need some celebrities this season." And Dave Filoni, as Jacob and I have established in a new running gag, Dave Filoni's in his full Trapper Wolf costume.
And the cowboy hat.
And cowboy hat. So, John, I'm going to field that one to you, buddy. You figure that out. Oh, great. Thanks, Dave.
And then meanwhile, Christopher Lloyd's just in the corner like, yeah, I'm here. You know me. I'm going to do a respectable job. I'm going to blend in.
Well, Christopher Lloyd's doing that prop culture show. He's just kind of wandering by the lot. Hello, gentlemen. Do you need my services?
Like, can we all agree Christopher Lloyd was definitely the least distracting of the three? Like, he blended in way more than the other two.
He blended in, but he did feel a little underserviced in terms of, we got Christopher Lloyd just for...
Well, I have a note on him as far as the underservice thing goes. We'll get to that. I honestly think his actual, motivation when we reveal it is a little undercooked. We'll get there.
I love that. I remember reading that there's some people speculating that he was going to play, like, a live-action Hondo.
Oh my god, dude, he would be a good Hondo. Oh, I can see that.
We don't watch the show, Tiki. We don't watch our show.
But what I'm saying is, I didn't think that was actually going to be true that he would play Hondo, but it would have been interesting nonetheless. Yeah. And still, that's still, as I pointed out in the caption for this, episodes this season without Hondo, 0 out of 6.
Yeah, unfortunately. So one point I want to make with Jack Black is I heard other people mentioning this, and I think it's absolutely true. In The Force Awakens, we got some really big name cameos, but they were all hidden under Stormtrooper armor.
They were almost all Stormtroopers, that's the thing. They're either Stormtroopers. They were like Simon Pegg as Unkar Plutt, and
we got Unkar Plutt as Simon Pegg. We got Daniel Craig as one of the Stormtroopers.
Yep, as the one myth.
Yeah.
Prince Harry was in there too.
Was he really? Oh my god! And he says he doesn't want attention.
Well, he did wear a helmet.
That's true.
And I think he was uncredited as well.
So if we have to have Jack Black, which I love Jack Black, and like you said, Dreg, it's not like he's phoning it in. He is. Lizzo, I think, is just okay, honey. It's Lizzo not literally bad per se, but it's okay, you clearly don't have a lot of that.
It's Lizzo in a fancy outfit doing what the only thing she wanted to do on set, which is hold the baby.
Right, exactly.
That's all she wanted. She just wanted to hang out with Grogu.
But I will give Jack Black credit. He's not phoning it in. He's actually given a performance here.
Jack Black never gets enough. I told you about this movie once that he did. It's kind of farcical, but it's a real life thing that happened. The Polka King, where he plays this polka scam artist.
Oh yeah, I need to check that out.
And he was good. I mean, that's the thing. Jack Black, though, it's a thing where we have. Obviously, this is not a huge dramatic turn this episode, but there's some layers there. He's a jovial guy. He's got an interesting backstory. Regardless of the fact
he's a jovial guy who's dealing with a stressful situation, and that performance does come across.
So that's the thing. It's the fact that Jack Black has layers that we should explore more. It's
Anyway,
okay.
I still, as far as live action appearances goes, I still think my favorite movie with him is probably School of Rock.
Yeah, well, it's great. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of an obvious choice, but
yeah. Right.
Honestly, if I had to pick a performance of his, I might lean Tropic Thunder.
I think I'd probably go School of Rock as well. I don't know. That's probably.
If we're talking about overall performances, I'd probably include Kung Fu Panda.
Well, of course, but yeah. Anyway, okay. So
Bowser is honestly up there.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Preachers.
If I can steer us to the correct podcast here.
Sorry.
So Plaisir at 15. So overall, what gets us to all these stunt casted roles? We seem to be with Plaisir 15. I think overall we're doing here is we're continuing to facilitate the bureaucratic troubles that are going to get us to the First Order. which seems to be kind of the big undercurrent of this season. We really we set it up like an Easter egg or two in season 2, and now we're going full tilt with it here. We're a lot of first order setup here with the fact that Plaisir 15, because it's run by kind of like an amnesty programmed, a captain, I guess, Captain Bombardier. He's they can't have a military presence, so their loophole to this is like we're going to hire Mandos essentially to be our muscle, and they're not legitimized, they're not recognized, and all that sort of stuff. So we can use them. And I like that we have like a commentary. We kind of have a big commentary throughout all season 3 so far. Post Star Wars, we're fattening up the rich. Really fattening up the rich, and they're over reliant on droids. They're very hedonistic.
That's actually a solid point. I feel like if there's any driving force in the season at all, it's that theme. I just wish there was a little. I just wish it was emphasized more than it is. You know what I mean? Like it's there.
It's a little all over the place this season. I think it's been kind of emphasized. I think about it. It's been like we had like the whole. We had a whole episode of it with with.
I still don't know where it's going as far as the plot, though. That's the problem.
Again, it seems like First Order is kind of is the payoff there, but we obviously it's kind of hard to say when we're going to like announce that or make the changeover. But again, that's more. Again, Tiki. We're in this weird space where we have 2 episodes left, and it's a question: are we going to do the season 1 thing where it was like, well, honestly, both seasons. 7 and 8 are kind of like a 2-parter, essentially. That's kind of how they've done that so far. Are we going to do that again because we set up a potentially framing Mandos as the Mandos are about to retake Mandos? We have a question of are we going to do that frame Mandos plot with all the New Republic stuff we set up, or are we going to just have 2 episodes of them retaking Mandalore, which may or may not bring back Moff Gideon? It's a question of like, what are we going to do? Are we going to have time for both? Like, how are we going to approach that? And with 2 episodes to spare, so that's the question. I do like with the droid thing here, the over reliance on droids. It does go hand in hand with the Din Djarin story.
Sure. So
I like putting that on display here. The fact that he, especially of all the droids that Din Djarin hates, he hates battle droids. Like from the episode 2 battle droids, he hates those guys.
I mean, well, as we remember, we know the reason why.
Yeah, they killed his people and his parents, man. Yeah.
I will say that is probably the biggest notch in this episode's cap is this episode did kind of have the vibe of that early Mando episode with the Jawas, where it's like, okay, cool, we're taking like kind of like a very specific subset of a Star Wars species and doing kind of a deep dive on it.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Like, I appreciate that. I wish the episode was more consistent. And like I said, I do have notes about how the plot gets wrapped up. But I do appreciate it, like, on a surface level. Like, okay, like, yeah, we're going into the droids, like, and the battle droids specifically. Like, that is cool. It is kind of like the whole playing around in the Star Wars sandbox that we fell in love with the show to begin with.
Yeah, so on one hand, we got all that droid stuff, which is working, and the idea is like, okay, all the droids are terrified of essentially being killed because they, in premise, they're everlastings. They just like we'll serve humans for a bit. So what? We'll be around long after they're gone. So long as it's not wartime anymore. We're not going to be blown up. So, we just don't want to be shut down. We're old models. We're from the prequels. We don't want to be shut down. Very simple. That's a good idea. And I like that it kind of triggers a little bit of sympathy in Din Djarin, at least for the battle droids that killed his parents.
I do really like the good cop, bad cop thing in the episode.
Yeah. I'm going to rip your memory circuits out and dissect
Mando is the bad cop, unsurprisingly.
I love it.
Well, I like how it kind of switches a couple times, doesn't it?
I don't think so. I think he's pretty anti-droid episode.
I mean,
but I'm saying like when I'm blanking on the name of the species.
Ugnaughts. He's good cop with the Ugnaughts. He's bad.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah,
you're right about that. Yes. Okay. You're right. They'll switch.
That's basically the only time he is the good cop, though.
Yeah, but seriously, with the good cop stuff, I mean, man, I thought it was so lovely and sweet how he learned from his experience. We paid off his friendship with Queel and how he basically kind of charmed the Ugnaughts and he kind of wined and dined them. That he kind of asked him nicely. He says, "I have spoken." Like I love Bo-Katan's reaction. Like, "I have spoken." What's he going on about? What is this?
we missed that. We missed "I have spoken."
Yeah.
Like that was one of the things that originally charmed us to the show in the first place.
Exactly. Now, on the flip side, though, again, plot-wise, I agree with Tiki what I said earlier. Our quest is very BS, just the delay till the big
It's
stuff
very
happens.
much just like, hey, you want to get to the interesting stuff? Too bad.
It's like, it doesn't help
And it
that...
sucks because the droid stuff is interesting. It's
Yeah.
just, again, this season desperately needs plot momentum, and the droid stuff just isn't it.
I think for me the issue was it's like literally we go into like this cool like almost monorail pod thing and it's like, hey, take us to the Mandos, and it's like, no, you got to go through the rest of the episode first. It's like zoop, all the way to all the way to like, you got to get to the stunt casting first and then the droid plot, then you get to the Mandos.
To use what Tiki said earlier, it was basically to basically continue on his analogy from earlier. It's like basically like in a lot of games, you had, in order to progress the main quest, you have to complete some side quests first.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of like that. So to get to the Mandos, they have to figure out what's going on with the droids.
Here's something.
But again, this season, the pacing has just been so clunky that we just literally do not have time to be stalling like this. I wish we did, because the droid stuff is cool. And I wish that the droid stuff kind of feels half-wasted. Like, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like this episode would have played better if it was earlier in the season. Honestly.
I mean, you're not wrong, but here's the thing. You're right, Tiki, but obviously arranging certain things to get to this point with them would not have worked out, because we need to cross certain bridges to get there. But you're right, though. It does feel like it feels like, like episode 2 of season 2.
Yeah, totally. Like I mentioned the Jawa episode, and that's kind of what this episode feels like,
Okay, now.
So
with the procedural aspect, again, I love procedurals, but it's so weird seeing it in Mando, but I can't help but love it, though. It's like, for example, when Mando's doing his iRobot thing, where he's just really antagonist against the droids, and he's like kicking the battle droids. He's like, snap, just kicks, and then he gets into like almost like Sonny from the iRobot movie, like that full on chase and everything. And that was all. I love that. This is gonna sound really dumb. I love the way Mando runs, because he runs like a guy who's wearing heavy Mandalorian armor.
No, I respect it. I respect that. It's realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. If you notice, though, there is kind of like a thing of like, okay, well, we wanted him to run, so we didn't give him the jetpack this episode randomly. We didn't put it on him.
Right. So with the droid bar, again, really cool set piece. Honestly, I would love to have something like this in Galaxy's Edge or something. I know we obviously already have Oga's Cantina. It would probably be like a set piece within a bigger ride or something, but it's just a really cool concept.
It's like, we don't serve your kind here.
That'd be funny.
But I'm not gonna lie, I don't exactly have a good solution for this, and I'm kind of guessing you guys aren't gonna feel the same way. I thought it was a little bit easy for the droids all to just be like, yeah, we'll help you.
Well, why wouldn't they want to help him, Tiki?
It just felt like there was going to be like a buildup of like tension, or like
it's self-preservation. There's I don't think there's any tension to be found there, Tiki. I don't know what you're looking for.
I don't know what I'm looking for either. The episode in general just kind of felt like there was a lack of tension. It kind of felt like...
I feel the lack of tension was, there was something potentially suspicious at the end of this episode that we didn't like hint at or anything. Like the fact that what happens to Christopher Lloyd's character is like, wait a minute, that sounds maybe a little suspicious. I don't know. It's a little...
A fun bit of trivia, though. Like, Bryce Dallas Howard's husband voices the bartender.
Huh.
His
name's
Seth,
So she married the Mac?
No, his name's Seth Gable.
Okay.
Just a fun fact.
Okay. So we reveal Commissioner Hellgate. So we talk about Christopher Lloyd. So Christopher Lloyd, of course, it's always good to see him pop up and something. I imagine he would have been something maybe with a little more substance, but maybe was asking for the most.
Well, I mean, for me, that's the thing. I watched this episode twice. For the life of me, this dude's motivation is paper thin.
Basically, he was a big Dooku supporter. That's essentially what his motivation is. He's a separatist. He's basically the next generation of separatists.
I support democracy.
Yeah.
No, I get that. It's just like that's literally the only explanation we get. I don't know. It feels rushed. Again, like the resolution to the droid bar, it makes sense. It feels rushed. Same with this. It literally feels like okay, guys, if you aren't going to take the time to really properly set up and pay off the side quest, why do the side quest?
I mean, again, the motive that he had. Again, I don't have all the answers here, but it feels like again we're teeing up the running theme of the season, which is, hey, again, people an over reliance and kind of like basically people getting cocky at peacetime and like they're getting like the corruption of bureaucracy and like they're fattening up the rich and making lives too easy for them. Like they let the droids do everything and that whole there's like corruption in droids and he doesn't. Honestly, he just didn't trust the Jack Black character because he's former Imperial. So the idea is like all these paranoias and hesitations and everything is potentially leading to the First Order.
Mm-hmm.
That's essential. But again, they don't really explicitly say it. We don't pay that off. We don't really have an ending in sight on it.
No, they really don't. And that's the problem.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to say. And we just kind of like, we tased him mid Dooku speech, which I mean, it made sense for the tase him there because he's about to push the giant red button. We couldn't let him do that.
Bro.
Okay. So anyway, so yeah, he's little zap, and then we guilt trip him, and I like he's apologetic towards the Duchess, but he just says, "I knew you didn't like me." So here's the suspicious thing we don't really do anything with. I'm going to exile you to the moon of Paraquat or something. So it's like, is that set up for something? Is that like are we going to say that something fishy's going on with this little piece of heaven here with the Plaisir 15? Is that or is it just prison? It might just be prison. I don't know. It just feels like, man, that because everyone winced when they said, "So we're going to exile you to this place," and they're all going, "Oof."
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, in general, I definitely thought there was a little bit of like an elitist kind of 1% vibe with this whole location. So
to be fair, the worst thing he was really doing was just saying, "Hey guys, don't rely on droids so much." It wasn't really like the worst thing in the world. It was horrible how he did it though.
Right,
he was saving people at that sushi restaurant,
and that's exactly why I think it's like again, it's like you said, the motivation makes sense, I guess, but why go to the extremes? I guess that's what I'm hung up on.
Well, Tim, I'm going to quote a line from a really good movie. Sometimes people need dramatic examples to shake them from apathy.
I mean, fair enough.
Where's that from?
Batman Begins.
All right.
So, yeah, okay, let's see. So then we have we take a moment and we knight the baby.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Of course we do.
That was adorable.
We don't Jedi knight the baby, but we knight the baby.
That was adorable.
Yep.
It was cute, but like, guys, Grogu shouldn't be here. I'm sorry, he really shouldn't.
Take a few steps away from before Tiki gets hit down by the firing squad. Okay, just take a few steps to the right.
He should have taken season 3 off. He feels entirely pointless to this season. He really does. He feels like he's there literally just to create the memes.
I mean, it feels like towards the beginning of things, Grogu was there at the very least. He was learning about Mandalorian culture, but
right.
It feels like it feels like he was there because it made sense for him to be there, and then we were doing something with him, and then we just kind of like, because of the way this episode disrupts the flow, it feels like, okay, and Grogu, we had an episode before this, it was like, okay, so Grogu's not really in the episode, which is not a thing. It basically proves that we don't need Grogu in every episode, which is not a bad thing.
Mm.
But having him there is kind of the reminder of like, it's like, well, we need to show that Grogu's still around. Like, why is he even going on this mission? Well, because Mando likes having him around. That's really the only reason.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I honestly feel like him being there kind of basically just like Din Djarin is basically the babysitter at this point, and that sucks.
Yep.
Neat.
Yeah, what are we saying about babysitters, though, Tiki? I mean, like sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean it sucks. It just means, it's a little off. But you're right, it's a little off, though.
Well, I'm just saying that's all he does in the show anymore, it feels like. And, and I will say this is definitely, like, Bo-Katan season, for sure, and I don't mind that. But it just feels like he's barely even been present this season a lot of the time.
I gotta admit, I do think it's so. I really like Bo-Katan like warming up to the kid. I gotta be honest. I love her like giving a little smile to little Grogu as a final kid. Not really feeding any points. Just want to get that in there. All right, so Bo-Katan versus Axe Wolves. Great fight, as we said before. But then we get to the after a little challenge. We get into the dark saber loophole.
Show don't tell, Dragon. Show don't tell. That's all I have to say about this.
Well, I don't. You might want to elaborate on that one, Tiki. It's the show don't tell.
It's literally just like Din Djarin is like, oh yeah, by the way, this, and that's why she can have the dark saber.
So you're saying we should have instantly just done it when we did that?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, that's what we should have done.
Well, there you go.
Right. I'm saying it's like pacing wise, I think it's absolutely ridiculous to. I don't know. I get the sense I'm way more caught up on that than you two are, and that's fine.
I think you know what I think it might be, Tiki. I think it might. You're not wrong, but here's the conflict. The conflict seems to be that if we in fact way back episode 2 when basically she saved him from the thing, if Mando had a bit where he said, hey, you say you defeated the thing, defeated me, here you go, you earned it. If we did that, it would have then caused the issue of hey, she runs in with her crew and just says, hey guys, I won this, this all again.
Yeah.
There still would have been an explanation involved, and there still would have been well, wait a minute, it would have made the full
Dragon. I guess I wouldn't mind this as much if it didn't feel like in that season 3 finale, it literally felt like, oh shit, okay, and even this season, it felt like that's what we were building up to.
Basically,
was some sort
in the
of
moment where Din walked in, you thought there was going to be another fight, and
yes. And it's like, I don't know. I honestly feel like with that...
Feels like they painted themselves into a corner with the Darksaber, doesn't it?
For me, pretty much all of the dramatic tension in the season has pretty much been evaporated at this point. I hate to say that. I really do. Because, like I said, the first couple episodes, I was really liking this season. I was liking the different direction we were going, focusing more on Bo-Katan. I actually genuinely really like episode 3. Episode 3 for me is one of the best episodes of the series for me. That might be a controversial take, but for me, I really dug it. And even the Bo-Katan stuff at the end I thought was awesome. But I don't know. It just feels like this season is almost... Again, the word of the day for me is directionless.
Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, we kind of talked through everything. It's it's at the very least we're going to see Bo-Katan's big moment in the sun. So I've been building to for a while. Assumedly, I don't know if it's going to take 2 episodes to do it or not, but we are heading back to Mandalore at some point. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm going to quit watching or anything. I'm definitely on board for the end of the season, but I don't know. I just, I definitely think this is going to go down as the weakest season of the 3 when all is said and done, unless they really just kill it in these last 2 episodes.
Oh, here's a missed opportunity I had in the episode before I forget about it. So, it makes sense. Okay, so Din has kind of a big moment with, again, somewhat coming around on the droids at the very least. He's seen some humanity in them, and he's there. The bare minimum, even not factor that in, he's chatting with some Ugnaughts. You'd think there'd be a moment where he'd revisit him and say, hey, listen, one of Queel, my buddy, he fixed this droid that tried to kill my baby, and I turned him into a really good guy, and I'm having this issue with him this season. I need a special part. Can you guys give me that special part?
Oh my god, yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, that right there, that's kind of another, we spent all of episode 1 on that plot, which at this point doesn't even feel like it's going to come back around at all. I don't know. Yeah.
Right. I do hope we see IG-11 again.
It would be nice to see him. We saw that statue with just legs, so he's still around. I mean, they didn't put him back on the statue yet, so he's there. He's somewhere. Soon did get bombed the heck out of, but I think he's okay.
I mean, there has been some continuity between these episodes, so it's not like it's entirely out there. It just seems like this one just seemed like they took a left turn.
What did they turn him into a slushy machine in between episodes? He's just kind of there. It's the reperson of something else. He was a statue. Now he's like a slushy machine.
Or an ice cream machine, like we keep bringing our running.
Yeah, that's true. It's blue ice cream. Let's say it's basically the blue. It's the iced blue milk.
Yeah,
Or
blue milk ice cream, yes.
or blue milk icy if you want to go the.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Blue milk icy, I would not sign off on a blue milk icy just because blue raspberry is the prime icy flavor, and you don't want to fuck with that.
what if it's literally just blue icy, but it's just something Tatooine named? It's just the same thing, but it's it's just,
I mean, I guess, but like, all right, whatever. Anyways,
like Tatooine Tang or something. I don't know.
yeah, you don't fuck with blue raspberry. That is like the definitive icy flavor.
Like Baru's best or something. I don't know.
I like the red. I like the red ones myself.
The red's the classic, but the blue is the best.
Or even the Coke one. Was that more of a freezy?
We're turning things political. It feels.
Red, no blue. we're talking about icy flavors. We swear.
Oh my
God. Wouldn't that be really a funny way to tell that sort of thing? Everyone just like carried the ices that were their primary colors of choice for the for political stance. It's just like, wouldn't that be like a charming way of just framing like uncomfortable politics? Just like the red icy. No, we like the blue icy. The blue icy's better. No, the red icy's better. What about the Coke flavored one? Shut up! Stay out of this. Go to your corner. No one cares about you. Get out.
The Coke flavored one is Ralph Nader.
Pretty much. Okay.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano y mano. Just Plus and Us.
Hondo's begin to feel very left out.